Yeah, one of you guys sent me this, and it's more stuff on that. It's more stuff on that Narc guy. He said this one. This one is more information on it because I know some people liked the other video, and from what I personally gather, it seems like there's much more to what I responded to, at least. Um, like definitely that was just like the tip of the iceberg, so to speak.
New Year's are for new beginnings. It's time to kick off some old habits and start fresh with better ones. Maybe you want to go to the gym and get back in shape. Maybe your goal is to be better at your job and to get the promotion that you think you deserve. And you
They got
do,
a whole
kid
boat.
or queen. Who's to say? Just get after it. It's the time of the year where people want to make changes for the better in their life. And for content creators, that comes in the form of I quit videos. You see, just 2 weeks ago, I officially quit covering content for The Elder Scrolls Online, about a year after I stopped playing it. And on January 1st, my timeline was blessed with 2 new I Quit videos. A new year is upon us indeed. One of them from Nephis, an ESO content creator that is also moving on after some juicy drama from the developers, and another from Narc, who is shockingly quitting Ashes of Creation after spending years covering content for it. Like a lot of you, I watched the Narc is quitting Ashes of Creation video, and after watching it, I came to the conclusion that it's a bunch of bullshit. In this video, I'm going to highlight some of the points he makes.
Thank you.
And show why I think they are bullshit.
What
and
the
then
fuck?
I'll accept the premise given by Narc and still prove why they're bullshit. First, he starts with the argument that Ashes removed Alpha 2 keys and then reintroduced them at a lower rate to create FOMO, or fear of missing out. Intrepid then used this FOMO in order to capitalize and make more money on their unsuspecting clientele. A predatory tactic used by every predatory development team in history. Boo. When they reintroduced keys, I also wondered why they were opening them up again. It seemed kind of weird to me to close the keys in January and then reopen them 7 months later before Alpha 2. But then I used the power of the internet to read the Intrepid website.
No way.
It literally says on there that they will reopen their Alpha 2 keys again when they are capable of doing so. Narc plays this off like he's some sort of super genius that called the pre-sale of keys when all it takes...
Oh my god. Yo. I haven't seen this. I promise I have not seen this. Someone sent me this to watch. Bro. Absolutely. In that other video, bro, that is sick. That I have no idea about Ashes of Creation. I have no idea about Narc. And I was able to call that from a fucking mile away, bro. That's crazy. I did not know. Now, to be fair, look at me. I'm the bad guy here a little bit because I did not Google it either. But I'm sure someone like Narc didn't need to Google it. He's already, butt plowed the shit out of their website. Like, surely he knew. Which makes that other video worse. Jesus. Wow.
...is looking at the Intrepid website and being able to read. You could do it yourself.
And being able to read.
Just read. Now, let's accept that this is true, that their goal was to make more money when players were more desperate and easier to prey upon. The entire point of fear of missing out is you create such a desperation among the community that they feel like they have to fork over a shit ton of money in order to not miss out on the opportunity. Think of xqcow coin. Think of any meme coin where you literally
we don't need to
creating a
see
situation
that.
that says, hey, if you don't buy this, it's going to be 10 times higher in a couple days. You're missing out on a 10x on your opportunity. This is an opportunity of a lifetime. You need to buy in now. You need to buy in with your life savings now and be set up for life. And then they dump it on you and you lose everything. That's the entire point of FOMO. That's the entire point.
Just something to a little bit more about his point, because after I made that other video, I didn't feel like I talked about the keys too much. And on the other video, okay, they did reopen it at a lower price. Personally, as a game dev, having thought about, because I was mad while I was watching that, guys. You gotta understand, sometimes I just don't like lying. Okay, it bugs me. There's something in my brain that just doesn't let me. I hear someone intentionally lying, and it's just something about it. But then again, I was raised a Mennonite, so I don't know. But here's the thing. They lowered the price and reopened it and let people have keys again. But I think that they set the price high on the last one, and this is just my opinion. I haven't Googled anything. I don't know for sure, but just as a game dev, I think they had the price high because they assumed not a lot of people would pay it. And as I explained in the other video, a lot of their money isn't, I know that to like regular people, to us, the $250 sounds like a lot, but it's just a drop in the bucket for how much money that they actually run on daily. You $250 could pay for a couple people's hourly rate. You know what I mean? Times that by how many people, and then you can kind of see how it's like. It's not that much, but reality is, I think that they didn't think that many people would buy the $250, and I think more people bought the $250 than they initially thought would, And you know what happens with these tests that they're doing is servers cost money, guys. And I'll tell you what costs even more is when you have a game that's not optimized, especially in MMO. This is a even worse case than just some, Star Wars Battlefield being unoptimized where you have a set number of players and whatever. This is a fucking MMO. And it's way more popular than I think they thought it would be. So you have a kind of situation here where you're developing a game and you need money. Well, unfortunately, these players don't realize that when they're sitting there inside the game, whether it be AFK or whatever, this game is heavily unoptimized, meaning the packets that are getting sent into the server are higher than they will be, ideally, except for New World. Except for New World. These packets are higher than they should be at this stage of the game. Probably a lot higher. Usually, you'll have someone who's really clean with it come in and optimize how things are sent in a way. Think of it just reducing the amount of information being sent. Maybe they've got stuff that is causing loops or code that is causing stuff to be sent more than it should. And what happens with that is you talk about $250, right? Well, reality-wise, I just think that I think that they didn't really think that there would be this many people willing to pay it. And their server costs got wild. You know what I mean? Like the server costs got out of hand. I imagine that for as many people as I see in these tests, every time I see one of these videos, that their server costs are just crazy. And here's the thing. That 250 don't pay for much. And them wanting to move down the price is not a sign that they need money, but they definitely will make a huge amount more by lowering the price. I would not be surprised if the price for these keys in the coming years got down to regular retail price. And I don't mean Blizzard retail. I mean like $60 probably. You know, I would wait if it were me, but I know a lot of people care about this game and they want to see it succeed. And they don't mind just throwing the money at it. But it's not a complete game. But it does sound like they're having server issues. It does sound like, to me, everything that I've seen, they're trying to figure out how to make this work. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, they're supposedly, if they are running on Unreal 5, making this work isn't crazy. It's just, they got to get this part right. They got to get the part that, this is a MMO. It's big. It's going to support a lot of players. If they don't get anything right at all in the entire game, they have to at least get that right. Especially with the server cost being what it is nowadays. It just won't be feasible going forward if they don't. Now, we talk about WoW and talk about some of these older MMOs. I'll let you in on a little secret. Newer games are just way less optimized for server usage. There seems to be some kind of runaway problem in the whole industry, in my opinion, on the fact that like server usage and not cleaning up and not optimizing. Back in the day, if they were working on Super Nintendo or they were working on something, they would optimize the actual shit out of that thing front to back. Every single pixel accounted for. Nowadays, like kind of the thing that you guys would understand, not having any dev experiences, have you noticed your games are getting like insanely large? Games that should only be like 20 gigs or 80. You know what I mean? So that's something that you guys can completely relate to. And I guarantee you, if those things were optimized, cleaned up, you wouldn't have such these outrageous file sizes that just, moving into a modern era, it's exponential almost how bad the problem is getting with optimization. I mean, I'm just going to be honest here, guys. It's not even optimization. They can't even finish the game. And even when they do finish and release it, it's just, like Cyberpunk, for example. I get it. People love it now. They fixed everything. But I am telling you, it is not... It's a runaway problem. And I don't know why we can't fix it, because when I'm working on stuff, everything has to be right. I cannot mentally leave things a certain way. But I guess, especially these big budget games, I guess they have to, you know, because that's down to a thing. I've never worked at a giant studio. I've never worked anything like that. So I don't know. Maybe it's really not an issue that they can solve. And maybe that the time that they make up for by not optimizing is just so crazy. Like it could be much more time than I think it is.
Of marketing scams, where they create a situation where it looks freaking awesome, where they're selling you an idea that doesn't exist, and then they jack up the price to a point that you feel like you have to pay for it, and if you don't, you're going to be missing out. They put a deadline on it. Hey, for the next 5 days, we're going to have these keys. And they're going to be a lot more than what they initially were because we only have so many. We're going to charge $400 for keys, guys, and you can only get them in the next 5 days. If you don't get them, Alpha 2 will never be available again. That's not something they've done. You don't charge less for keys if you're trying to capitalize on FOMO. And you certainly don't say this during every single monthly live stream that we have had for the last 2 years.
What you can expect and what we need. What can you expect? Well, you can expect that we're in a testing phase. And that means that Ashes of Creation is not done. What does not done mean? It means that not everything's going to be polished. It means that you're going to experience bugs. It means that you're going to see systems that aren't fully fleshed out with content. It means that you're going to have areas of the world that need some TLC. It means that you're going to see variant NPCs with some place.
Brother, he's a happy motherfucker, isn't he? He is just so happy. I don't even know. Oh, what's up? What's up, Cody? Yo, that steak short, though, I had to do it to him because, people be like that, bro. People are being like that. Bunch of fucking gooners, man. I'm telling you. They can't help it. I get it, but, fuck, man. Come on. But no, this dude, he a happy motherfucker. I don't know what this dude is putting in his motherfucking coffee, but I'm telling you right now, he's happy at a level that's maybe. I mean, I'm not going to throw around the word autistic, but he's just a happy fellow.
Behaviors and potentially ability systems. You're going to see skill trees that need to be complete.
Bro, and I'm watching this bitch down here. I don't know if anyone's seeing this, but she is just not in it. She is just looking around. She's not in it.
Potentially ability systems. You're going to see skill trees that need to be completely rearticulated.
Bro, she needs to control herself. I don't know if this is one of these community managers or something, but I'm telling you right now, she needs to control herself because she is making him look bad sitting down there being like, oh, fucking Steven, please. Steven. She's
there
are... Balance is not there, yeah.
Bro, she had to. She's like, yeah, balance isn't there, guy. Come on.
There's a whole host of shit. Excuse me. That, pardon, a whole host of things that is not done yet. But does it do its job in conveying the intent of the gameplay loop?
Charging less money for keys when you think there is peak FOMO is the stupidest idea I've ever heard of if your goal is to max.
Okay, now, as a game dev, again, I'm telling you, what this guy's saying is absolutely true. If it had to do with FOMO. It doesn't have to do with FOMO. It's the fact that if I offered you a $5 cupcake, I would get 1 million sales. If I offered you a $25 cupcake, I might only get 100,000 in sales. All of these numbers are different numbers, right? Sounded dumb. I know. Kill me in the comments. My main point is, the higher you have the price, it's just, we're normal people. Dude, I go to Walmart and I'm like, $15 for a shirt. But if If I seen that same shirt for $8, I'm gonna pick it up. I think everyone's like that. Well, okay. I think most people who do not have any kind of like I don't care about this fucking shirt, man. And most people don't care about this game. But the people who do really care about it. I don't know a lot about it, but I will say this. This guy has a point. It's just the point. It's not the same as what they're doing. I think they're lowering the cost, and it's going to have a huge influx of people. It's going to give them way more money, and it's going to stress test the server so they can really see what... I mean, if they're serious about this testing phase, that data that you send to the server is so much more valuable than those fucking keys. Because they need that data in order to fix this shit. In order to fix the game. And if they can't fix the game, that's it. That's their whole product gone.
Maximize profit, and labeling it as a work in progress instead of the opportunity of a lifetime or something along those lines is a goal missed as well. Perhaps the FOMO never really existed at all, and perhaps people could actually look at the product when it came out for Alpha 2 on the 25th, and they had until November 1st to purchase into Phase 1. Then they could watch Phase 1 to purchase into Phase 2 if that's something they wanted to do. And they could watch Phase 1 and Phase 2 before they purchased into Phase 3. Maybe these are, good monetization habits that games should have. That players know what they're getting into, that they know what they're signing up for,
I will say that they're being very reasonable. I don't think that they're doing anything weird.
Development team that tells you that yes, you will be testing. Yes, it's not a game. Yes, it's not feature complete. And yes, you can watch. You don't have to do any of this. You can watch, and then later on, if you want to play when the game goes live, you can pay the subscription fee of $15 a month until you no longer want to play it anymore. Doesn't sound bad to me. Regardless, purchasing of Alpha 2 keys is something that is extremely polarizing in the Ashes community. People are pretty staunchly set in whether or not they're okay with paying to test an alpha. And that's more than okay. Your opinion is yours. My opinion's mine. That's okay. But to say this
Bro, I don't know how many people are watching, but if anyone knows, what are they doing? Are they guarding this cart? I don't know what the fuck is going on here with this cart.
Introduction of keys is some sort of pure evil profitization mode when it's just Ashes of Creation keeping their monetization fair for their past buyers is either misleading or not true. You don't have to believe my word for it, though. You can listen to Narc less than 1 year ago on YouTube.
But that's the beauty of Ashes of Creation. This game is fully funded. They don't need our money. They've said this multiple times over the years, and they're...
Well, there you go. In my old video and in this video. Well, fuck. I was totally right.
The only developer to go out of their way and say, if you cannot afford it, do not buy into it.
The game is going to be created and completed without your support financially. So if you don't want to support Ashes of Creation by purchasing a creator package, by all means, do not do that.
I get having a fantasy world, but this four-winged bird, you know what? I'm not going into it.
We're just a subscription model game with a microtransaction market that has no pay to win and will never have pay to win whatsoever in it.
Okay, we could just have normal birds. We don't gotta go this. What are they
I've never heard of
doing?
a scam begging audiences not to pay them.
Look at that.
Have you? But you see, the reason why the access was so highly priced is to respect the previous backers who paid during the Kickstarter.
This is the same footage she used to
6 years
talk
ago.
shit about
When
them.
they were just a couple of guys not understanding the task ahead of them, trying to gauge interest with prices that probably reflected the projects around them. You know, like Pantheon's $1,000 access, Camelot Unchained, I think is another. Come on, guys, I don't really follow Kickstarters. The point is, this isn't Star Citizen. Although actually,
Oh my God, Star Citizen. if you donate to Star Citizen, you might as well just sell your house. Like, I don't know.
Star Citizen has shown some
I don't know. Like,
progress
it's
lately.
not.
Anyway, Ashes of Creation are not selling thousands of dollars worth of genuine, powerful equipment that dominates due to their price point. You know, like Star Citizen's ships. This is a non-pay-to-win project that respects its players using a no-box cost, sub-fee only cosmetic monetization method. The most ethical monetization method that exists.
Whether you agree or disagree with the overall price point of the Alpha 2 keys, Intrepid has stood by the fact that they want to make the prices fair relative to their initial investors. It was the case years ago, and that has not changed, even if the creator's opinion of that has allegedly
He's
changed.
sliding.
His second point made...
In fact, extends to all showcases in the last 4 years, and everything shown was not real. The story arcs that showed the world dynamically changing around the Tower of Carfin and Oakenbane Keep, it was not real. The beautiful environment and weather that was shown during the seasonal and commission showcases were not real. The amazing Freehold showcase that showed the farm animals, housing, and crops were not real.
And frankly, this reason has been obvious to him and others for a while now. Back in midsummer of 2024, there were a few pictures of pre-Alpha 2 that got leaked on Discord, and just about everyone saw them. I know everybody in my Discord saw them. I know the people in his Discord saw them. I'm sure that he saw them. These pictures looked really bad. And no, I will not be showing them here because I'm not trying to get banned for showing NDA information. You can probably still find them on Discord though. Regardless, these pre-Alpha 2 characters looked like something you would see in fucking GoldenEye from the early 2000s. There was no definition. There was nothing that looked like what we saw in the live streams. The world looked very bland. It looked like something that we hadn't seen before. And these pictures put the community into a depressed downward spiral, and justifiably so. As a community, we are not developers, and we do not know what it takes to put assets onto a live server for the first time. And these pictures are the initial tests they had before Alpha 2. Without knowing the development process, it looked really bad. Anyways, fast forward to Alpha 2, where the NDA lifts, and the world looks completely different. And what we have been seeing on the live streams for the last year. Jamie Chaos was one of the early testers, and he provides his feedback from the first tests here.
The framing for my perspective of the game, because I have been in there for so long that I have a different perspective than people that are coming in to these new PTR builds or things like that. Like I was there when it was rough. So one of my first tests, we literally were just testing server performance. It was rough. It was laggy. It was buggy. One of the tests where we went to go turn on the replication graph that basically tells the server where everything is. Like if you cut down a tree, it knows that tree is down, tell that information to you in the proxy. Well, the first few times that we did it, server was really rough. We're just getting people in. And then we move into where they turn the replication graph on. After cutting down like 10 trees, we broke it. And they ended up turning it off, and they're like, okay, we're gonna have to redo this, or we're done with the test. Like you guys can just do whatever you want for a little bit. I think I ended up getting brought over to Carfin or something, and we just kind of fucked around there. But my first entry into the world of Vera was so underwhelming. I can't express to you guys the amount of wind that was ripped out of my sails.
No, and you know what? This is hard to hear because me and my friend made a game that was like a rip-off of... I say rip-off. Everybody takes inspiration from somewhere, but we made a little game that was sort of like RuneScape mixed with WoW. And, you know, this same kind of stuff happens. You know, we had trees that you could cut down, and you could skill up your wood cutting and all that stuff, and like what he's talking about makes so much sense because we went through that development process, and we did it, and we had a lot of realizations that we had to make about, you know, it sounds so simple. It sounds so simple to people. If I said, you know, we're gonna go put some trees in here that you can cut down. But, you know, it's like when you talk about like all the systems involved with that, we're talking about, you know, you have to have an inventory, you have to keep track of it, you have to, in many cases, especially if you have trading, that was really annoying, You have to keep track of it for everybody. Not just your player, not just on the server. You really have to do so many extra steps and so many systems. And while some of it is just, here's a number, like a level. When you talk about a leveling system, you're talking about a number with little numbers. And when the little numbers add up to the full progress bar, you get one more number. Sometimes it is that simple. But what he's talking about, I totally get it. I totally get why. And you know what? That sucks. That sucks. But, that's part of the development process. And that's exactly why I think developers don't want, desperately do not want people who are not devs to see the early work. Because everyone has that reaction when you're not a crafter, or when you're not, if I showed you a table before it was finished, you'd be like, yeah, okay. But then you see it and you're like, oh wow, this actually turned out really good. It's that same process with anyone. If you don't know a craft, or if you don't know how to do something, the enthusiasm and what's in our heads is never going to fully translate to you.
When I went into the world, I'm talking to other testers, I'm like, oh my god, has it been like this? What is it? It's like, yeah, no, it's gonna be like, I'm like, oh my god. I was like, oh my god. So,
but see, this is bad. This is bad for your game. I don't know why Ashes is taking this approach. I mean, I think that the server data and the data that they can pull from the people is super valuable. It allows them to cut down on certain staff in such a way that people can multitask on this kind of stuff. And that's where I think that that's why I assume they're doing it. I know that there's puff reasons, right? There's the reasons that that they say to people to make them feel better. Oh, we just really want you guys involved or whatever. But as a dev perspective, I really do think that they're data harvesting in order to skip some steps in the dev process, because hiring testers, or the testers pay you and you harvest their data anyway. And I say harvest data, I know it sounds scary, but it's just the game sends packets to the server anyway. All you're doing is interpreting that and using it to make the game better. That's all it is. But, that's kind of what you got to do. It's just, the data that they're providing and the bugs that they're reporting saves them a lot of time, and by the time that they actually do get to something playable, I think that players are going to realize that it's leaps and bounds beyond what they're used to, because they're kind of used to, they're kind of used to the way things are now, where the company just puts it live and chucks it out there and says, figure it out, it's fucking broken. This game will be much more polished by the time it actually releases. It should be, at least. They're getting so much valuable shit so far, so early on.
Fast forward to another test, and I'm seeing things from, there's stuff in showcases, and I keep an eye on this, and I keep watching this, because I'm like, I know that model has texture, but it's gray box in here. Why does that have gray box? I know that has texture. Next test we do, that has texture now, and the world's a bit more advanced, and I'm like, we're on older builds. We are on older builds, and I'm so I'm starting to no one's saying it, they won't say it. These are older builds, and I'm talking to Annie, and she's like, yeah, these have to be 2-3 years old. So we're going through, and I'm kept an eye on this the whole time, every time. And sure enough, we get to this next state where the nodes are set up, and the well has no texture on it, and I'm like, I know that has texture. And then I'm like, okay, they have a lot more done than what we're currently testing.
And part of that reason is to partition your expectations. Okay? As a dev, people are emotional more so than you are. Okay? As a dev, if you're making a game and something just isn't working, or it's too time consuming, or it's not as fun as you thought it was, and your whole team is suffering from it, you know, you make these big cuts and you remove something, it's like you gotta do it. You have to remove it.
And sure enough, we get another test. It's significantly different, almost like.
But the problem is when they do remove something and they've already told people, like, oh, there's a pet system in our game, and then they remove it, people get fucking like they're like crazy, dude.
Completely night and day. Like there's a theory right now that they're actively developing these stuff and pushing it live right now. I don't think that's the case. I think they have a lot of stuff that's done, and they are working on certain pieces, and they want us to test certain things within a certain test build.
He's probably correct, like 100%.
And through this and thinking about it, I'm like, okay, I need to know more about game dev. So I'm looking up and I'm finding, yes, you have test builds, presentation builds, you have production builds.
Sometimes. Depends on scale. Depends on the scale.
Like there's various stages that builds will go through. So a lot of stuff that we see in the showcase is that presentation build. You're trying to show what it looks like, kind of like in its best form, how it would work. It doesn't mean they're fake. It just means this is.
But you will keep a master, and you will keep a version that's like a test, and then you will keep. I mean,
what the system
looks
like in this specific kind of test environment. And now we're trying to put them all together and get them to all work cohesively leading into this alpha. I don't know exactly if that's what they're doing, but that's something that you can kind of take away from once you start to look up what these things are.
Basically, as testers, we are testing from the ground up. Think of it like any other project, like building a house. You need to have a solid foundation before you put in a toilet, hang pictures, or that secret sex swing that you haven't told your missus.
No,
Things
brother.
in ashes, like the growing grass, the wind blowing, and other fantastic details shown in the live stream showcases that we have been seeing over the last years are not yet ready to be on the servers because the servers aren't stable enough to support them. Hell, I can't even weapon swap right now and see my shield. There is a lot of server instability going on. You don't have to listen to me on it though. You can listen to Steven.
Grass was shown that was knee high. Is this still a thing that is planned to be added? Yes, it is. Currently, that grass is disabled in certain sections of the world because there is something that's
server instability.
It's called world position offset that interacts with shadows as well as wind and was causing some significant performance degradation.
There it is.
So until we have the ability and time to fix that, which
imagine walking through a field and just losing 60 FPS out of fucking nowhere. That's what he's talking about.
Very low on our list of priorities due to its impact and frequency. We have disabled that asset. So it is something that we do intend to bring online, but it was causing some significant dips in performance for players.
Now, on to some funny parts of his video.
I loved seeing the game be developed from a normal person's point of view, and I take pride in the fact that I am just a normal guy looking in on this game's development. I think it gives a very relatable and unique perspective that no other content creator really has.
You really think being a full-time streamer and content creator makes you more relatable than other content creators who are still working in their careers outside of YouTube and Twitch? Like, you really think people are sitting around with just stacks of fucking pizza boxes behind them, watching YouTube content for 12 plus hours a day, talking to a community, generating money by just sitting at your computer and talking shit about videos? Like,
man, this guy's better than I was.
Do you think that's relatable to the average person? He's definitely funny and entertaining, but more relatable than other content creators. I just think he's sniffing his own.
Yeah, I don't find him more relatable. If anything, I find him like to be an oddity, an offset, like a. It's not relatable. I can't fucking relate to that.
own farts with this one. That's all I got to say. And this one,
Ashes of Creation offers a referral program, and in my opinion, by using the referral program, it kind of invalidates your opinions of the game and systems due to the
Now this shit pissed me off, him saying this.
real money incentive that is offered through this scheme. Be it a pyramid, Ponzi, or multi-level marketing scheme, it doesn't matter. What matters is that the content creators using it are receiving real-life benefits by utilizing it. They profit off your $250, so of course they are going to bend the truth to incentivize you to buy in.
another one in the fart sniffing department, appealing to his own authority by claiming since he's never posted a referral code and quote, all other content creators are incentivized to talk good about the game due to monetary bias. I shouldn't have to explain how an Ashes of Creation content creator whose livelihood is based off of making money off of his Ashes of Creation following on YouTube and Twitch is incentivized to do so for his audience. But since it's Narc, I'll do that here. Narc, you are a full-time YouTuber and content creator that has made Ashes of Creation content his full-time job.
And that's what I said.
You stream long hours to your community about Ashes of Creation. You post YouTube videos about Ashes of Creation. You are also incentivized to talk about Ashes of Creation due to a monetary bias, like any other content creator that posts a referral link. Do you want to know how we all know this? Because for the last year, there have been two narcs. There is a Discord narc and there is a YouTube narc. They're two different people. Discord narc has been down on the game for a very long time. So long that I posted this on Discord back in November of 2023. 14 months.
This feels like he's down. Well, that's no longer.
Before Narc officially quit, I thought he was going to quit. It was clear to me through his posts on Discord and his disinterest in making his previous animated videos that he was crashing out on Ashes of Creation. The point I'm making here, in a long and drawn out way, is that Narc's livelihood is tied to his community he has built. And he's built that community through talking about Ashes of Creation for years now. You know this, I know this, and Narc knows this. Now, I'm not in the same situation as Narc. I'm not nearly as entertaining of a content creator to stream and do YouTube content full time. But if myself and you, the audience, were to put ourselves in his shoes, how would we pivot our audience that follows us for one game to follow us into something else that we enjoy more? You see, that's what Discord Narc and YouTube Narc have been doing for the last year. The one has been very negative about the game, talking to people on Discord, and the other one on YouTube has been a lot more kind to the community, talking about things and slowly shifting his perspective.
Okay, well, that's kind of like a thing, right? When you're on, like on here, like on YouTube, you can't say certain stuff and you can't be as authentic. I mean, I don't give a shit, but I also don't have a full-time income from this at all. So, yeah, and I probably never will, to be honest. I mean, look at me. But fucking, that's a kind of a weird point. I don't think that matters. A Discord narc and a YouTube narc, you kind of need to keep those worlds separate. Like, you can't be, like when you're working a service job and you put on the voice, you can't be that all the time. So I don't know about that point, but I get what he's saying.
Because he doesn't want to lose that community. Because he is incentivized by money to keep his following in order to keep his career. He is beholden in the same way that he thinks people with referral codes are beholden to. But nobody else with referral codes is currently making a living full-time off of fucking referral codes. It is a stupid argument. You see, content creation on YouTube sounds like a real dream job. It sounds like something really fun, being creative, doing unique things every day, until you accidentally pigeonhole your channel into something you no longer love. Now, you deal with real-life monetary consequences of shifting your content and losing your base. Now, as a community, how would we do it? How do we do this? How do we maneuver this issue of shifting our content without losing our base? Would we rip the band-aid off immediately and piss off a large portion of the community that we have built and lose subscribers and views in the process? Or would we do it over time, being open to being more negative on Discord and eventually Twitch before bringing it to YouTube? I know what I'd choose, and it looks quite obvious over the last year what Narc has done as well. To a lot of people, it may look like this is who Narc has always been, but it isn't. There was a time just a few years ago where Narc wouldn't even show a negative critique that another content creator made of Steven Sharif, and he didn't react to it on his own live stream because he didn't want that negative critique of him being a scam artist associated with his live stream.
I closed the video without a word because he began to call Steven Sharif, the creative director of Ashes of Creation, a talentless corporate suit within the same vein as Jake Song from XL Games or John Smedley from Amazon Game Studios. And I simply don't want to platform someone slandering a man leading a project that spent the last 6 years trying to do the exact opposite.
Now he just calls the game a scam during his subathon like nothing has changed at all. It's pretty obvious that over the last year plus that something has changed. Now, if you want to disagree with me that taking monetary gain from Intrepid via referrals is a bad thing, then let me present to you another content creator with no referrals. Myself. I'm not beholden to Intrepid, nor am I beholden to a community to pay for my mortgage. I also generate almost no revenue from Twitch, and from where I'm sitting, on this gifted golden throne of elitism handed to me by Narc, Narc is just projecting his own insecurities to his community about where he stands among other content creators. As a content creator, myself, that truly isn't incentivized by money, by the royal standards Narc has set, my word is better than all other content creators that have come before me and any that will come after me. You should truly bow to my complete unbiasedness and decisions.
And that's what I hate about this Narc guy. Like, saying that shit, putting himself on a podium and stuff like that. It's like, bro, your opinion only has value because of your fans. You can, like, I can sit here and talk. I don't have any fucking fans. Doesn't matter what I say. But, bro, you have an audience. Like, that's the only reason. It's the people, bro. It's the people.
I have spoken.
He just keeps.
Sorry, guys.
He just keeps
putting
on with
myself
his
in his shoes, turning into a
sniffing.
fart-sniffing narcissist. I'm better now. Anyways, it's not surprising to me in the slightest for me to see Narc belittling other content creators to better himself. This is something he has done to just about every content creator in the Ashes space that I have seen. It happened just a few months ago when he called Jamie Chaos a white knight and used some of his merchandise on his channel to showcase bad parts of the community. When Jamie made a video to say that yes, he is a white knight and you should buy his merch as a joke, Narc wrote this. Hiya! Allow me to respond to this as there is a lot of disingenuous arguments in here. First of all, you're not the main character, man. My video is not about you. It features things about you in it in a very minor way, presented as examples.
I'm sorry, but if you have to make a post like this, addressing this, like if you have to make a post like this, I don't care. It's like, well, you clearly do. Because all you have to do is ignore it. That's it. Done. It's gone. That's it.
But I care more about the wider narrative that Steven Sharif wants the community. Your channel is full of highly emotional reactions against mine, Asmon, Thor, Jimmy, and Josh Strife Hayes trying to debunk anything negative we say about Ashes of Creation. Yet you try to manipulate the narrative and say we're emotional ones, and you're the logical one? You do not provide any feedback in these videos. You do not say anything constructive. And you're using this particular drama to push monetized merch? Shameless much? You have actively been aggressive towards me, my community, and my takes ever since.
Guys, I'm just saying this. If you care about someone making content, just realize if you do purchase stuff, if you do referral codes, if you do all that stuff, it's not just money to those guys, okay? So maybe to some people, maybe to Narc it is, but there's a lot of dudes out there, especially that Josh Strife Hayes, that I know for sure, like, it's not just money to those guys, bro. It really shows them they're on the right path, and they they're giving up their life. They're giving up other paths in life to be on this one because people want that. And that it's emotional and it's crazy to say and it's weird to say, but like I think everyone gets what I'm trying to say. That they give up a lot of other stuff in their life to do this kind of work, and the money isn't just money, it's validation. It's something that, especially it's something that they can take to people in their life that don't believe in them and say, look, this matters to people. And I get it. It's money, and people have their own whole thing with money. Some people say, it's corrupting, it's whatever. But sometimes it really isn't about, like, the money. It's what it represents. And for a lot of them, it represents the ability to focus on, Josh Strife Hayes was a teacher. I don't know if he still does that, but like if he wanted to do what he does full time and the community supported that and wanted that, I mean, there you go, right? Like, I don't like people who act like this Narc guy, man.
Starting with my takes on World of Warcraft. And even during the drama with Vladis, you instantly jump into my DMs to be all buddy-buddy with me, even though I've seen your messages excited to get me canceled. You might take this as a funny joke to monetize and have fun with, because ultimately you'll move on one day.
Okay, come on.
But this is my full-time job, and I'm very passionate about the success of Intrepid Studios. My videos are structured in a way to have a narrative, motive, and a moral at the end of them that a very large amount of people agree with. I am not farming Doomium to getting clips from drama. I am covering the important topics within the community that spread the correct ethical messages that I believe in. I am providing feedback directly to Intrepid through an entertaining video because that's how I believe I can help Intrepid best.
He just keeps on.
What is surprising to me, though,
with this
is when
fart
he says
thing,
this.
bro.
Of communication isn't just shared by me, but it's shared by everyone in my community and the majority of the other content creators, all of which straight up quit making consistent content.
I can't think of another reason why content creators would make less content around December. Can you? Surely there's nothing important going on in December. It's just a normal regular month where people do not go on vacations, get sick with the flu, get over the flu, and then travel to see family and loved ones. That's for non-December months. That's silly. Everybody knows that everybody's around all the time in December.
Yeah, dude, December for the tech world is fucking horrendous, dude.
That's why there's no content going on. It's because they're sick of the game, not anything else. Idiots. It is highly amusing to me to see Narc in 2 different posts put himself over the other.
Actually, let me talk to you about this. Starting October all the way through the New Year's is such a shitty time to be a game dev and to be somebody who has to do tech related things, because it does pull you away from the people you care about. And it creates these kind of rifts where it's like, if I died tomorrow, how many Christmases did I give up? Or how many things did I give up? Or holidays did I put off? Or say, oh, next year we'll do something even bigger. I gotta work, And that's something to think about, honestly. It's like some of these guys that make these games are not, they're not doing too great. You do give up some parts of yourself and some things, and I think that, I realize it's a lot of people. It's not just, stuff like that. But as far as what I can relate to, I would say, like, there's a lot of things that you give up, especially during the holidays, if you're dedicated to something. And, that affects people. And I often wonder, it's like, how many people really regret that? Because I know, like, in my life, Yeah, I'm starting to get to that age where it's like, yeah, I do. I think I do regret a lot of that.
Other content creators, and then use a shitty argument to say that all those content creators agree with him. He doesn't talk to them, doesn't engage with them, doesn't have conversations with them, doesn't create a community. He sticks in his own lane, which is fine. It's okay to stick in your own lane. But when you stick in your own lane and then you talk shit about everybody else and then you're like, yeah, these guys actually agree with me, and you don't actually know that, it looks really fucking stupid. Now, if we tie all this together, from my perspective, we have a content creator that hasn't enjoyed making content for Ashes for over a year now. And then 8 months later, in July, when the new keys came out, that was a deal breaker. And in pre-alpha 2, when we found out we were only really getting the Riverlands and the desert was incomplete, that was also a deal breaker. These were such deal breakers to Narc that all of a sudden he continued covering Ashes of Creation for 5 more months, continued to test in October, in November, and December to be the mayor of Winstead on Lineth, to fly around collecting things, to campaign himself for 3+ days, according to Narc. That is what he did, because in July, these things were deal breakers, guys. These things were such deal breakers back then that he had to have the most fun that he has had on an MMORPG in decades, because it was a deal breaker. It was done for him. It was over. He was having no fun doing these things. Not for the last 3 months. He wasn't having any fun. He was just playing the game, enjoying the thing, making content, doing things, talking about how good it was, because he wasn't happy.
This makes that video seem much worse. That first one I watched. Jesus fuck, bro.
Any fun, because in July it was fucking over, guys.
I didn't know any of this.
And just fucking deal with it, all right? Obviously that's sarcasm. Sure, the desert and the monetary practices could be an issue, but they're not the issue this far removed from them. Something more recent has had to have happened. Think about every time you've quit something, right? It's always a cascading version of events, right? It's always a few things where you're annoyed with, and then something happens where you just snap and it's done. And you're just like, okay, this is my choice. I am now done because of this. He didn't share that. He shared stuff from 5 months ago. He shared stuff that I don't agree with from 5 months ago. I think something else happened. I have a pretty good idea as to what happened, but I don't know for sure. I can only tell you what I think it might be. I think it's for a variety of reasons, personally. I think it's obvious that Narc is a tremendously talented YouTuber and content creator. So much so that is able to create a full-time job doing so on a game with very minimal content. Let's be honest, guys. It's pretty fucking impressive that he got ad revenue over a live stream that showed different shades of darkness for the night cycle in Ashes of Creation. That requires a lot of creative flexing that most content creators cannot do. And deep down, he probably realizes that there are so many less creative content creators in games having a lot more success than he is because they have something that he doesn't yet, a fully finished game. The process of the game isn't fast enough for him and for his channel.
Obviously, we've talked about this before, but Alpha 2, we're planning to, on October 25th, release the NDA. So we're hoping.
Now, I didn't think about this. Okay, I didn't think about this at all. When I addressed that first video, I didn't even consider the fact that one of the reasons he could be quitting is that just straight up it just isn't fast enough. Like, brother, you were covering the game when it was an idea. I don't know what you mean, brother.
Hoping that we can release the NDA.
Wait, hoping?
And allow people to stream, capture footage.
Yeah, I mean, this is my cash cow. This is what I've been building the channel up for, Margaret. You're not going to delay the NDA.
That's a fucking in poor taste joke right there, considering how he fucking nuked them. What the fuck, guy?
Yeah, I need this to pay rent. This is what I've been building up to.
Also, Narc outed himself as a Care Bear earlier this year, being very anti-PvP, calling anyone that enjoys PvP griefers. Now, I don't have anything wrong.
God,
I don't have any disagreement with people that like only PvE or.
If you like PvP, you're not a fucking griefer, bro. You like PvP. Like, dude, this guy feels like he just attacks anything. If he thinks, I don't know what he thinks, bro.
Or only PvP. The only thing I have to say is when you have this strong of an opinion, if you're so anti-PvP or PvE, when you're playing in a PvX game where either one of those things can happen, you're going to be battling some personal demons about what you like in a game. And eventually, if you've been talking shit about PvPers hypothetically for years and you've insulted them, they may want to enact some revenge on you in game. They may want to actually fight you in game because you've been talking shit about them and what they like. And now they may just want to, inflict some PvP on you. I also think that the shit-talking tendencies to other content creators bit him in the ass as well. Because when Intrepid lowered their server count on NA to 2 servers, he had the choice to be on the PvP server with the griefers, the scumbags, the sociopaths.
I'm going to say this, though. Just so we're clear, this kind of game that they're talking about has been made for a long time now. When I was playing Ultima Online and stuff like that, and to some extent, like RuneScape, and I mean, there's plenty of options, but one of the ones I played was EverQuest, which is kind of the polar opposite of that. It's questing and group play, team play, not so much PvP. I will say the novelty of both have, I think, run their course, but I just don't see why not. These MMOs are pretty expansive. I don't see why not just include, lobby-based stuff, like fighting. Maybe not open world, but just let people PvP if they want to. Like, what is the, what's the harm? I don't see the harm. And people keep talking about, people that play MMOs don't really like PvP. I was like, well, how many people? It's like, how many people? I get in WoW why the PvP is kind of, dead. But in other games, it's, you got all these people who play stuff like this now this Marvel Rivals and stuff like that. I realize that's not the same people, but sometimes it is. And sometimes those people like a little crossover. There's been this big push in MMOs lately that they just want to push out the PvP aspect. I just don't see it as a bad thing.
Or he could go to the Pirate Software server with the biggest guild in Alpha 2, where the leader of it said this about him.
Have you heard about the shit show with Steven Sharif and Narc a couple hours ago? Narc said some shit things to him?
Narc, to be honest with you, I've seen Narc say shit things about Steven several times, and I disagree.
Yeah.
The choices made on a game are not the choices necessarily made by one member of the company, even if they are a senior person in the company.
Even then, I don't think anything's going wrong with this game at all. But also, I've seen Narc talk shit on us. I've seen Narc lie about us as an organization, try to convince people that we were trying to take New Ayla because it fit their political interests. Tried to tell everybody that we were going to destroy the game and kill the server because we wanted to take every node on the server. Talk very nicely to me and in person on my face, and then go to other people in the back and talk shit about us and say that we were shills for the video game and in Steven's pocket and all kinds of shit. The dude's two-faced as hell, and I don't really have a lot of respect for him.
I personally think it's a combination of both of these things. Now, you may think I'm wrong for what I think happened. That Narc isn't moving on because of money. That the lack of a game is holding him back as a creator. And the reasons are exactly what he stated in his video, and not at all something that happened extremely recently to change his mind on playing the game. My opinions are mine, and yours are yours. And I guess we'll just never know. Of course, before we never know, we have to wonder, what is this fight that Narc had on his live stream in December that Pirate Software is talking about? What happened there? What is the conclusion? I guess we'll just never know.
It was 4 years of my life and I cared a lot about it. Sadly though, I just feel like it's holding me back. Don't say I'll quit forever.
I'm never going back to Ashes of Creation. Not because the game is shit, but because I don't like Steven Sharif. And I think the guy is a fucking dumb cunt.
Wow.
Get to the door! I'm...
That's crazy. That is crazy, bro. I'm gonna have this
New Year's are for new beginnings
for everybody in the description of the main video. But dude, that last clip was like, bro, one of your people just saying, hey, leave the door open, and he acts like that. That's wild, bro. That's his fans, by the way. What the fuck, bro?